Well, what is the crack? Today I want to show you how to ride or drive a scooter. So this video is really for absolute first timers or beginners who have newly become acquainted with a scooter, or you've traveled to Bali or Thailand or Vietnam and you've done 1 or 2 sessions on the scooter in traffic and you realize, Jesus wept, this is pretty intense and I don't really know what I'm doing. So it'll be a crash course, no pun intended, 101, how to ride a scooter, get familiar with the bike, the controls, where to put your legs, your hands, your elbows, what to do and what not to do. At the end, I'll just do a very brief description of how renting a scooter works in Thailand, because I'm here in Thailand and I now know the crack as to what they ask for and what they need. So that'll be quite interesting. Cool, let's go check out the scooter and see the crack. It's just around the corner here. Wonderful Thailand. Here she is. The Honda Click 125cc. So this is probably the most common scooter you'll see around Asia. Bali, Thailand, Vietnam, that kind of crack. So it's relatively low powered, but still powerful enough to do damage if you don't know what you're doing. So Scooter Basics 101. She's on the kickstand now at the moment. This is the exhaust. This gets hot over time, particularly if you're accelerating a lot. So you always approach a scooter on the opposite side of the exhaust and where the kickstand is. See it there in all its glory? So this is how you will approach the scooter from the kickstand side. So it's been wet here in the rainy season. So without further ado, let me stick in the key and we can go through the basic controls of the scooter. So this is an old school key. Some of them now use a touch sensitive button, which I don't really like. I prefer the physical key to know where I'm at. So first things first, get out your helmet. So we switch it to seat and then we click this release button. You'll hear the click. Open up the seat. And there she lies in all her glory. The safety helmet. This one is pretty lackluster, pretty crap. I asked for one European spec, as I call it, or one with a visor, to prevent bugs flying into your mouth at night, but unfortunately they had none, so I had to go with this. It's a bit bigger because apparently the European head is bigger than the Thai head. Little fact, didn't even know. So that's where you'll store your helmet or your goodie bags as well when you're wearing your helmet. So to close that, it took me a while to get this actually, you shut it and you do a double click. So you hear that? Now it's locked. I'll do that again. So key in, switch it 1 click to seat, release, open it up, close it back down, and we do a double push. There we go, it's locked. So now that I'm on the bike, we can start it up and we can go through some of the basic controls. So let me do that one more time actually to highlight it. So you'll notice when I turn it, 1, 2, you'll get the little initiation display, and now it's ready to be started. But before we go anywhere near there, let's go through the controls. So I'm going to leave it on the kickstand, although I'm sitting on it, but we can talk about what controls we have. So here, very handily, they give you a little phone holder, which is handy if you're using Google Maps. But on the actual bike itself, we have certain controls. This is very important. Here are the indicators. Right for right. You'll see it clicking there. To stop it, press in. No more indication. Left for left, obviously. You'll see a flicker there. To cancel, push in. See that action? Very simple. Push in. We've got the horn, which is very loud, as you can hear. We have our low beam lights, which are always engaged. And then you have your full lights, which you'll see there in the blue icon. And you can also actually, I don't know if this will pick it up because it's so bright. No, it's not picking it up. So they're your full lights when you're driving at dusk or dawn or night and there's no oncoming traffic. Smash those on, you have better visibility. On the right side, we have the automatic stop start. You don't need to concern yourself with this too much. So at the moment, this will mean it's engaged, so that when you come to a traffic light or whatever, the engine will shut off to save fuel. Same with any cars, modern cars these days. I don't like that. I prefer to let it idle and burn a bit of fuel, albeit minimal amounts of fuel, so I prefer to leave it on. We got our mirrors. What's the crack? These are very important. So the way to fix your mirrors is not when you're stationary at an angle with the kickstand. The way to actually do it is to sit up on the bike as if you were sitting and driving, and then when you're in this position, you fix them so that you see the outside of your arm from your normal driving position, just as I have it here. So fix them, literally physically manipulate them. They feel a bit stiff, but go for it until the far side of your arm, let's say your tricep, is there. The same applies to the left side, obviously. They are mirrors. It should be mirrored. So there you go. You got my very undeveloped tricep, unfortunately. A couple of weeks traveling now. And that's when you know you're in a good position to see what's coming around you. Okay, back onto the kickstand. Now, what else is there to talk about? Right, turning it on. So, let's turn it off, remove the key. How to turn on a modern scooter. Insert the key. 1 click is the seat. 2 clicks, you get the engine light. Once that fades away, you know you're good to turn it on. Before I do that, I want to talk about what's going on here and what's going on here. So on the left side, this handle does nothing. It's literally a grip to hold on to. This is very important. This is the left brake, similar to a bicycle. That's very important. Talk about it in a second. On the right side, we have the throttle. Super important. This is how you go, obviously. Accelerate and decelerate. And this is your front brake, which you can use. I only really use it on downhill portions because I don't want to do a donkey kick when I'm driving. Really important about the throttle and your positioning. This is kind of hard to film, so I actually might spin the camera back on me. Hey, how's it going? So when you're riding, oh, there goes the horn. When you're riding a scooter, you want to sit up, right? You want to look at the horizon. You don't want to look down at your controls, because once you look down, all you have is your peripheral vision above, and you won't really catch the surface of the road or any traffic that passes by. So from this position here, when you look, you want to look this way at the horizon. Very self-explanatory, but you'd be surprised at how many people miss that and get too concerned with the controls down here or the indicators or the lights. This will come with time. You'll have to give it a few days. You'll eventually get it, and you'll know by muscle memory where these things are. The most important thing is that you're focusing on the horizon, the quality of the road on front, and traffic, of course, coming left and coming right. So look straight, be relaxed. Another really important thing is the position of your feet and the position of your arms. So when I am riding, you do not want to be fully extended. That's a nightmare, because if you accelerate, it's very difficult to decelerate in this fully extended position. Also, it will push your body back. So the position of your arm should be bent elbow, nice and relaxed, with a bit of slack in it, and a bit of slack in your wrists as well to accelerate and decelerate. So you're not in full extension. That is a nightmare. Don't do that. So keep it nice and relaxed so you have plenty of scope to accelerate and decelerate. Secondly, your feet positioning. You will be most aerodynamic and most secure if your legs are up, right up to the top of the scooter, and your knees are in. The more limbs you have out or dangling out, the less control, the less balance you have, and the more drag you create. So put your foot on, put it up close, and keep your knee tucked in. For taller people like myself, this can be a bit of a pain, because you'll see here my knee kind of pushes against the edge, but it's not the end of the world. It's a sacrifice I can bear for having more control and more balance. While I'm on the subject of feet, do not do what I'm doing here. I have never drove this scooter with these type of flip-flops, and don't do it. I would not recommend it. You can use maybe something more secure like Birkenstock, or I have a pair of Tevas that I'll show you that I normally drive with. Ideally you drive with shoes. If you can't drive with shoes, you drive with good sandals, with good securement, not flip-flops like this. And you never drive barefoot. Like, you can just imagine you're driving around, you're just nipping down to the shops, you're barefoot, you're topless, whatever, the weather's really good. If you have any incident or you need to put your foot down at speed, when you put your foot down on the road, it is literally going to grate the underside of your foot like a cheese grater. Think Parmesan cheese kind of job. So you need at least, at the bare minimum, flip-flops, which I don't recommend. I recommend you do better than the bare minimum and you go with sandals or runners or proper shoes. But do not, because for example, if I take my foot off here and put my foot on the ground, if I'm going at speed, it is literally going to shave the sole of my foot. And that's going to be nasty, and that's going to take quite a while to recover because you won't be able to walk properly and you'll need to dress the wound quite often. So do not drive barefoot. Second one that I sometimes break the rule: do not drive bare-shirted or shirtless. It's very tempting, and I've done it a few times after a heavy session at the gym when the sun is out. But if you fall or you're in an accident, same principle applies. Your skin will just be grated like cheese if you fall onto the ground. It hasn't happened to me, fortunately, but it could happen. So ideally, you know, you just have at least a t-shirt on. Thirdly, always wear a helmet. Always. I mean, if I'm just going to drive to the end of this road and back, I'm going to take the time to put the key out, put the key in, click it to seat, release the seat and pull my helmet out. Sometimes it's a pain in the arse and it's a bit time consuming, or it can be raining and you're not bothered, or you're just going down to the shop to get a coffee or, I don't know, a carton of milk or something like that. Don't do it. Always wear a helmet. It's not worth the risk. If anything happens to your brain, you're screwed. Or even just scarring on the skull. It's absolutely not ideal and takes a long time to recover. Okay, I think we are ready to start the bike. Right, I jumped off the bike to show you the approach. So again, you approach from the left side, or the side which has the kickstand. As you will see, this is normally the left side, and normally the opposite side of things that might get hot or dangerous, like this exhaust. Although I'm sure it doesn't get that hot unless you're tearing the arse out of it for 2 hours on an uphill stretch. So this is very handy, the Honda Click. It has a pass-through. Not all scooters have that. And it's also very handy if you want to put shopping here. You have a nice little shopping hook. Although be mindful not to shop too much, because you want to make sure there's room for your legs to stay balanced. So we simply get into the pass-through, 2 feet on the ground, first of all. And what we do is literally grab the handle so we can come even. We want to kick the kickstand. This is another reason not to use sandals. You need to kick the kickstand away behind you. There you go, until you hear that sound. So now the bike is being balanced by my 2 legs. There we go, as you can see, and my hand. And you'll notice my hand is on the back brake. This is really important. So to start a scooter, you have to hold the back brake. Sorry, 1 second. Let me turn the ignition on first. So the ignition, 1 for seat, 2 for ignition. We've got the check engine light. Let it fade away. Excellent. It's ready to be started. Hand on the back brake, and we're going to click the ignition button. So let's do that right now. So hold it down. Sorry, I needed to use that hand holding the camera to click the button. So you can hear she's ticking away. Very important. Continue to hold the back brake once you touch the accelerator. The reason for that is you don't want to lose your balance all of a sudden and accelerate and take off. You're going to fall on your arse and it's going to be a disaster. So always hold the back brake until you're ready to go. Interesting tip, the way to turn off the bike is the same process. Simply switch the key anti-clockwise until it's off. Another way you can do it, but the manuals say you shouldn't do it. Let me go again. Back brake, accelerator. I'm going to use the camera because I'm lazy. Push it in. There we go, we're on. Another way you can turn off the engine is actually by using the kickstand. Once you have the kickstand out and deployed, the engine will automatically turn off. Let's get a nice zoom on that kickstand. Yoo-hoo! Okay, but you don't want to do that. Ideally what you want to do is, you want to use the key every single time. I've now got my dorky geography teacher Tivas on, but you'll notice what I say, that they're much more secure. If I fall onto the road, they won't slide off my foot like some other flip-flops would. Oich! Okay, back to the bike. Back to the bike, and we'll get set up with the helmet. There she is, the Honda Click. Safety first. Professor Safety. Professor, I look like such a bloody dork. This is also a reason why some people don't wear helmets, because they look like gobshites. I am no exception. I look like a balloon-headed fool, but this is key. So I've got a t-shirt on, I've got my helmet on, and I've got proper, appropriate footwear on. Now you're ready to ride a scooter. Let's go! Alright, let's go. Let's do a demo start. Physical key in. 1 click for seat. 2 click for engine. Engine light on. Engine light fades away. Very good. Notice we still have the kickstand. It will not start if the kickstand is deployed. So, to open up or remove the kickstand, hand on the left grip, use your 2 legs, more so than your hand, to get balanced. Get the bike balanced, very good. Hand on the rear brake, kick the kickstand back, which is a bit easier with these secure sandals. Not so good with sandals, or sorry, not so good with flip-flops, and amazing with shoes. Hand on the rear brake at all times. Press the accelerator, sorry, the ignition. And she's on. So, how do you move? The accelerator is your friend here. All you do, hand on the accelerator and slowly find that biting point. There we go, there it is. So you're slowly rev it up, again, all nice and light, until you find the engagement, and then you're good to go. Remember, hand is always on the rear brake as you accelerate. Once you find the biting point, release your hand and accelerate. So, here we go for a little spin. We're just going to go straight. Here we go. Straight line. 25 kilometers an hour. Notice I'm using my right hand to accelerate and decelerate. So I'm just going to go in a straight line. Hand on the horizon. Mindful that there's some sand here. Avoid it if you can. The sand is quite slippy, and we're just going to go here. We're going to brake. We're not even going to turn, and we're going to do the same thing again. So same crack again. Hand on the left brake, right hand on the accelerator. Find the biting point, and we're off. Feet in. Knees tucked in, hand nice and relaxed, elbow nice and relaxed. I'm manipulating the accelerator to accelerate and decelerate. If I wasn't holding the camera, what I should be doing is always have my left hand hovered over the rear brake, which is what I would normally do. What you should do is go forward and back as many times as you like until you eventually get comfortable. That's all I would recommend. I'm going to brake here. There we go, applying the brakes. So here we go again. Slowly accelerate. Here we go. Always looking at the horizon. To come to a stop, simply apply the brakes, either the front brake or the rear brake. You're now stationary, 0 kilometers an hour. Shut off the engine. Very good. Hold the rear brake. Deploy the kickstand, go through the pass-through, put the key to seat, click the seat button, open up the seat, and then take off your helmet. There you go. So, renting a scooter in Thailand, what do you need and what do they ask for? You would think you need a license, a motorcycle license, a scooter license, a motorbike license, or anything like that. They don't care. They won't even ask for a driving license. It doesn't matter. That's my experience, at least in Thailand. I presume it's quite similar in Bali. So all you really need is yourself, show up in person with your passport and some cash. So in Thailand, generally, they will ask for you to forfeit your passport and they hold it as security until you return the bike, or you leave a cash deposit of 3,000, 4,000 or 5,000 baht. This decision is completely up to you. I would strongly advise never to leave your passport. I've done it once, I had no bother, but I regretted doing it. Just for the fact that if anything goes wrong and you do damage the scooter, they can absolutely screw you and rip you off, because you cannot go anywhere without your passport. If you need to catch a flight or a ferry or a boat or a taxi and you're on a tight schedule, you're just going to have to pay them whatever they say. You can call the cops, but it's really a civil matter, and depending where you are on one of the islands, you mightn't even be able to get hold of the cops. So I would recommend leaving the cash. 5,000 baht is a good bit of money. In euro, off the top of my head, I don't know, it's about 150 euro or something like that. Recently, the one I found one on Koh Tao and Koh Phangan for 3,000 baht. I can leave a link to the shops if you want. So what I did is I just leave 3,000 baht. They do take a photocopy of your passport to know who you are and where you live. And that's it. You take the scooter. Some you pay up front, you say, here, I need it for a week. You take their WhatsApp number. If you end up staying longer, you give them a text, hey, I'm going to take it for another couple of days. I'll drop it in when I'm done. And then you pay the remainder. Others, you just pay when you give it back. You just take it. You don't tell them how long. They don't care. You show up and you pay the remainder. So that's my tip. Don't leave your passport. I did it, it's tempting, it's a pain in the arse to leave so much cash. It's also annoying to go to the ATM and suffer those fees and exchange rates if you don't have a Wise or Revolut account. But just don't give them your passport. It's way too valuable and will leave you stranded, and they will screw you, or they could screw you if they really want to. Anyway, I digress. I hope you learned something from the video and that you feel confident but cautious driving the scooter. That's the key. You should be confident and you should approach junctions, traffic lights, traffic situations with confidence, but you need to be hyper aware of the others around you, notably the other farang, the other tourists and the other foreigners who sometimes are piss drunk or smoking whatever the hell they're smoking and just go willy-nilly on the roads, weaving in and out, doing 80 kilometers an hour in a residential area or a built-up city area. So be just seriously mindful of what's going on around you, and realize that as a scooter in Asia, you are the lowest rank citizen on the road. You know, no one really cares about you. Trucks will not run over you, but they won't take much heed to you in their mirrors. So yeah, just drive like someone's out to run you over, but be confident in doing that. All right, good luck. I hope you enjoyed it.